This is Creative to Creative. Together, we deep dive into the creative and production processes of leading creatives, finding out what makes them tick, how they do what they do, and the challenges along the way. This is Creative to Creative, powered by Motion by Design. Today on Creative to Creative, we interview Matt Remphrey, owner and creative director of Parallax. Matt founded Parallax back in 2001 and has been at the helm ever since. It's fair to say a lot has changed in that time, including the length of his hair. When he's not playing director in the studio, you'll usually find Matt playing his Gibson on stage or training for a marathon. Matt Remphrey, welcome to Creative. So walking through your bottle shop, how does one get a label and a brand to stick out from the rest? I mean, there's obviously a bunch that look the same. There's a couple that look completely different. Mm-hmm. Is there any sort of secret recipe that you go through either to stick out or to blend in, or a bit of A and a bit of B?
Yeah, so it's understanding a client and trying to work out a point of difference of what they're doing, which gets increasingly hard when you've got, hundreds and hundreds of competitors in a lineup. But that's a really important thing to do, is to make sure that you know what you're doing and you know what you're doing differently and what you can offer differently to everybody else. And then depending on channel, I would say that one of the hardest places to stand out would be at that $20 bottle in supermarket retail. So, I would say if you go into Dan Murphy's, who's $20 and you want to get a Shiraz, you've got hundreds of options to choose from there. So as a consumer, what are you looking for?
It's a hit or miss, isn't it, really?
Well, it might be that you're looking for brand that but then it also depends on, when are you buying the wine? So is it for like a Wednesday night with pasta? Is it you're going over to someone's place for dinner? It's those sorts of things come into it as well. So again, it's trying to understand the consumer and where they're going to consume the wine and what they're buying it for. At that lower end, you've got to be looking to stand out. You've got to be looking at what everyone else is doing and try to go the other way. And one thing, even though there are hundreds of choices, you can walk into a store and you can see that 80% of the labels all pretty much look the same. So you can disregard that and try to find your own thing. As you get higher up, it's interesting because if you're wanting to put a high price wine into the market and you haven't done it before, then the strategy may be to look at, okay, well, what does high price wine look like, and try to look like the rest of the gang, so you get a bit of credibility that way.
Fake it till you make it.
Because if you're going to spend $50, $60, $100 on a bottle of wine and you're taking it somewhere, part of that, whether you're conscious or not, is you want other people to go, oh wow, Dom's bought a pretty expensive wine to the table.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it looks expensive.
Yeah.
So there's part of that, and then you can then go the other way. If you in that and you've already got credibility for that wine, then it gives you the opportunity to disregard those norms and say, well, I'm going to rub against the category cues and do something completely different. And that's in retail. But then if you look at something like on-premise, which is restaurants and bars and bistros and those sorts of things, then like name and story become more important than sometimes in the packaging, because you're not looking at a label to choose. You're reading it off a menu, or you're being the sommelier is telling you what to buy or what's going to go with that. So then the marketing of that, again, it comes back to that gatekeeper, which in that case might be a sommelier in a restaurant, or the owner of an independent bottle store. Your marketing starts with them to explain what's different about your wine. So if they are recommending you, they're getting the story right and all that. But then the naming of it becomes really important to that, because that's what's going to sort of grab you off a wine list and get you intrigued as to what that wine's all about.